Hello again. I started these videos while I was still on my journey because I thought that would be the most benefit to anyone who is going through triple negative breast cancer or any other breast cancer for that matter. Today I decided to do an update because I'm going through some emotional stuff that nobody talks about, nobody warns you about, and here I'm in the middle of it trying to figure out how to get out of it. And so um, I thought that it might be beneficial just to address what is currently happening. Today I had physical therapy. I was in a car accident in January with my mom. My mom was driving, was not our fault. We were completely in the right. Somebody came barreling out of a parking lot that should have had a stop sign. At some point had a stop sign. Stop sign was knocked over, pulled out or something and never replaced. So this other car, SUV, came barreling out of the parking lot and nailed my minivan. If we hadn't seen them at the last second and my mom hadn't stomped on the brake so hard she broke the brake pedal and her shoe, um, it would have hit the door, the driver's door, and probably killed my mom. Instead, we were able to near miss, I guess, they hit my driver's side quarter panel, destroyed the front of my Chrysler Town and Country, destroyed the front of their vehicle, airbags deployed. I've been dealing with a lot of neck and back pain ever since, along with trauma symptoms like nightmares and startle reflex and hypervigilance. And I went from a confident driver to a paranoid driver. My mom, on the other hand, had a stroke. Um, and blunt force trauma to the right side of her face from the airbag caused damage to her right eye, and she may go blind in her right eye. So she's also got concussion injuries. So she's seeing a specialist for that. We're both dealing with a lot of physical residual crap from that car accident on top of my cancer. Um, so that was, that's why I went to physical therapy, which now I'm in a lot of pain and I have a lot of guarding because of the pain, and it's very difficult for me to relax enough for the therapists to do their job because I automatically guard. And with my limbs, like my arms and my legs, when they manipulate them or pull on them, I have to make a conscious effort to relax so that they can get the stretch that they need to stretch. Now, my neck, on the other hand, no matter how hard I focus on relaxing my neck, I can't do it. It's always stiff. And because I was the passenger and they hit us on the left, on the driver's side of the vehicle, I got shoved to the right. So everything on my right side has less mobility, more pain, and it's much harder to, I've got less range of motion. It's much harder to relax that side. So that's kind of something I'm dealing with on top of why I'm making this video. Um, so I've been trying to adjust to the fact that while I am still considered a cancer patient, to the best of anybody's knowledge and all of medical science tests that could be performed, I no longer have cancer in my body, which I want to celebrate. I really do. And I feel so much gratitude for the the multitude of people that have been praying for me and praying for my husband and my family, that we have the strength to get through this, that I can fight this. And I've gotten comments that on how strong I am and how I beat this cancer, and but I just don't feel celebratory. I spent the last 10 months going to chemo, being surrounded by people with cancer, some of whom are never going to be cured, some of whom are going to go home one day and not come back for treatment. And I feel horrible celebrating my own graduation into monitoring phase when there are so many people of all different ages that aren't going to be as blessed as I have been. And I feel a lot of guilt about that. And I'm not unfamiliar. It's called survivor's guilt. Um, Many people who were in the military have it, at least for a period of time. I had it because when I joined the Army, I joined at the end of Desert Storm, and I joined to serve my country. I joined because I love America, and America said there were bad guys that were hurting innocent people in a foreign country, and I wanted to go and kick the bad guys' ass. My job, however, I got as far as Germany, which was nice. Um, but most of my service was stateside. And it took me more than 20 years to understand that if I wasn't doing my job here, my brothers and sisters couldn't do their job over there. That I didn't need to be over there to do a significant and important job. And I know a lot of veterans who didn't go overseas, who have that feeling like they didn't really serve, or their service doesn't really count because they weren't in combat. It's not true. That's the lie we tell ourselves. That's the lie some combat veterans tell us. The fact is, if I didn't do my job here as a mechanic, as someone who prepped trucks to get shipped overseas, if I didn't do my job here, they couldn't do their job over there. Because of me, they had less to worry about. They didn't have to worry that their BII kit was missing something. They didn't have to worry that their truck wasn't going to start. Of course, after they drove it a while, they had to worry about that because generally they fucked it up somehow, and that wasn't my responsibility. Once they fuck it up, there's no warranty from me. I don't give out warranties. I sent a perfectly good or a perfectly good helmet over there, or hat, or whatever, and if you fuck it up, that's on you. That's not on me. But if I hadn't sent the good shit over there, they wouldn't have been able to do their jobs. So it took me 20 years to accept that fact. And I also had survivor's guilt because I was here at home. I could spend time with my family. And I know people that never came home, or they came home in a box. That's hard to deal with because I joined to serve my country, and I did serve my country. I just served it in a different way than I had planned, but it was still important what I did. Now I'm feeling, and honestly, it feels worse than that. There are so many people in this country dying from cancer, and some that are living with cancer. They live with stage 4 cancer that it will never leave their bodies. And somehow through medical science, they are able to continue on past where their doctors thought they would. And I mean, I know someone who's lived with cancer for 10 years. I know someone who's lived with a form of leukemia for, God, more than 20 years. And I don't know how I would deal with that. I honestly I never got used to the fact that I was a cancer patient in the first place, because I'm like a super type A personality. If there's something even with my limitations, and I have disabilities and other health conditions, if there was something I could do, I did it. If there was something I could help with, I helped with it. That is just the kind of person I am. And I have had to accept on a case by case basis, because I'm just not one that can just blanket accept the fact that I have all of these limitations, that there's things I can't do right now. I've had to accept on a case by case basis that my life is different, and I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if these differences are going to stay here. I don't know if I will be able to build things back. Um, I mean, I'm still here. I still have my husband, our home, my dog, 2 cats, 12 reptiles, my 4 adult children, my 4 stepchildren, 2 grandchildren, 2 step-grandchildren, all of our extended family, I still have those parts of my life. And if anything, I think cancer has brought some of us closer. Others, you can't win them all. But the survivor's guilt is what's getting me today, because cancer really sucks. And with all the billions, if not trillions of dollars that has gone into cancer research, none of it has a cure, and that makes zero sense to me. This is not like a virus that mutates every time it enters a new host body. Cancer is cancer. We can delineate them and put them into categories and determine the different types in those categories, but we haven't found a cure yet. All we've found is a bunch of poisons to put into people's bodies and hope for the best. And I got the best. Apparently my cancer, to anyone's knowledge, is gone. Pathology says there's nothing there. I will not have to continue with immunotherapy, because I had a really bad reaction to it in my lungs that is still healing. It's actually starting to show signs of healing. I had nodules and opaqueness on the CAT scan, inflamed lymph nodes. I had to have this was about halfway through chemo, I had to have a bronchoscopy to rule out lung cancer. That's, they put you out for that, but when you wake up, your throat is so sore for days. That sucked. But it came back negative for any other type of cancer. It had looked like cancer on the CT, which is why they did the bronchoscopy. It's stable, and some of the weird looking things on the scan have gotten small, to like 2 millimeters smaller, but hey, I'll take it. With cancer, that's a freaking win any day of the week. So, if I restart immunotherapy, I could have another reaction. It's likely I will have another reaction. My lungs aren't completely healed, which means there's a higher risk of the immunotherapy causing a worse reaction that could kill me. So, my oncologist and I decided to take the conservative approach since there is no cancer present and not do the 27 weeks of immunotherapy, which would be once every 3 weeks. I would have to go in for an IV infusion of the immune boosting drugs, and we opted out of that. My white blood cell count is good. I'm still a little bit anemic. I just need more meat. Somebody send a memo to my husband, would you? I have opted out of radiation therapy because the current, most recent research shows that in my case, someone who had cancer in the lymph nodes and after chemotherapy no longer has cancer in the lymph nodes, there's less than 1% benefit to radiation therapy. However, the damage to the skin, the potential damage to the lungs and heart, the risk of death, the side effects, the risks with radiation therapy outweigh the benefits. So I have turned it down. The doctor, radiation oncologist, she knows what the current research is, and if that research had been fully published, she may have given a different recommendation, but she recommended the standard protocol, which is radiation therapy, 5 days a week for 5 weeks. And I decided that I believe the research standard operating procedure, standard of care, this is the standard procedure, that doesn't say dick to me. That just says this is what we've always been doing, and since nothing's changed, we're going to keep doing it. Well, now there's more current research that contradicts that or recommends lower doses of radiation or less doses of radiation. In my case, no doses of radiation appear to make no difference with overall effect. So she seemed ambivalent at first, but she has to push for the standard of care, and the current recommended standard of care is radiation therapy. I did my own research. I made my own decision. I don't want it. We can discuss it down the road, but for right now, I don't see any advantage to radiation therapy and all kinds of disadvantages to radiation therapy. So I have officially graduated from cancer treatments to cancer monitoring, with one exception. April 3rd, I will be having surgery to remove the last of my reproductive system. I had a hysterectomy when I was 35. I lost an ovary when I was 25 to a ruptured cyst. And don't believe what they tell you that if you lose an ovary, it might affect your fertility. Yeah, I already had 2 kids with 2 ovaries. I had 2 more kids with 1 ovary. Did not affect my fertility in the least. Now, somebody else might be different. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical specialist. I'm not giving medical advice. This is all anecdotal. This is my life as it happens. So they're removing that ovary because there's a cyst on the outside, a normal kind of cyst, and there's a mass on the inside. But it didn't react to the chemotherapy, which would have been the same treatment if it was ovarian cancer as it was triple negative breast cancer. So there's nobody thinks it's cancer, but without the pathology report, we don't know. So April 3rd, we'll find out how that goes. And then I have my reconstruction surgery in May or June. So that's where I'm at. And these are all the things, I'm like ADHD big time. So that's where my brain is all going. But my brain always comes back around to, I can't celebrate yet. I don't know why. And I don't know why the yet is there. But I feel so horrible and sad for the people that I was seeing in treatment, some that disappeared. Hopefully it was because of a cure, but there's still so many other people, and I feel genuinely blessed. I feel blessed by so many people around me, and I feel blessed by so many by not having cancer anymore. And I thank God every minute of every day for that fact. I even have blessed that, my hair's starting to come back in most of my head. There's still some bald patches, and it hasn't decided on what color it wants to be this time around. But, that's a blessing too. Um, that'll be another video about hair loss. That's going to take a whole video. Trust me on that one. But I'm dealing with survivor's guilt today, and I really feel fatigued and depressed when I want to celebrate, but I just can't. And that's not something they warn you about. That's not something anybody talks about. That you're going to feel bad. That you're here, and even a total stranger that you saw in the treatment area is not. That is a suck-ass feeling. I fucking hate cancer. I really do.